Passport to the World was proudly sponsored by Trafalgar. Simply the best way to holiday. Trafalgar offers family holidays, so the whole family can experience a destination together. Trafalgar is offering their 2015 rates for all trips booked for 2016, plus an early payment discount of 7.5% until 25 March. So book early and you can save 45% or more on a holiday to Europe. Visit our website www.trafalgar.com to discover more.
Cathy Retief-Neil with Passport to the World on 93.6 FM.
Good morning and welcome to Passport to the World. And I love being here in the cockpit on a Wednesday morning. And of course, I have a very interesting guest this morning, as always. It's a lady who hasn't been on our show before, but before I introduce you to her, just a reminder of our wonderful Holiday of a Lifetime competition with Trafalgar. So I will read you the question sometime during the show, so keep your eyes and ears open and a pen handy, because they're going to have a question for you every week, over 10 weeks. This is the second week. And of course, we will draw a lucky winner on the 11th week, and the lucky winner will win a holiday for two with Trafalgar. Boy, oh boy, I wish I could enter. I've asked them and they said no. Folks, I think this is just one of the biggest prizes we've ever had to offer on air, so please make sure that you tune in every Wednesday, and the more entries, of course, the better the chance that you could win this wonderful holiday. The SMSs cost R1.50, and of course free SMS bundles do not apply. We always repeat that because people sometimes forget. You have to SMS 45633 with the following: holiday, your name and the answer. 45633, holiday, your name and the answer. I will repeat again later in the show, and of course I will be asking you the question. But for now, let's say good morning to Tessa Buhrmann.
Hello. Hi, Cathy.
Yes, good morning, Tessa.
Hi, morning.
How's
Good
it?
to chat to you.
Thank you. How's it there in Durbs?
Oh, a little bit cloudy today, which is quite a treat after the heat we've been having. So, yeah, thankfully it's not as hot today.
Well, I love.
And Cape Town?
Yeah, well, it's nice down here. It's not the
As
40.
always.
Yeah, well, well, you know, they say we have 4 seasons in a day, and I think we often do. But rather that than having murky, hot weather all the time or rain all the time.
I quite enjoy the sunshine on my shoulders.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tessa, before we chat to you about your wonderful trip to Dubai, and I so enjoyed reading your article, always do, but I want to ask you, just give us a little bit of background about yourself, because this is the first time you've been on the show.
Yeah, it's the first time I'm here, and thank you so much for the privilege. It's awesome to be able to chat to your listeners. I started Responsible Traveller Mag coming up for 8 years ago now, more because of my, obviously, a passion for travel and an interest in the environmental and community-orientated initiatives around travel. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. So I get to travel locally and internationally and write about the amazing places I go and visit. So, what a wonderful thing to be able to do.
Absolutely. I don't envy other people, their occupation. I'm quite happy with mine, which is similar to yours.
Yeah. Imagine having to stay stick in an office from 8 to 5.
No, not for me.
There's a lot of pressures that come with it, like you're working till 2 in the morning some days. But anyway, that's part of the job, eh?
Absolutely. But, you know, it's when you have a passion for your work, as I think most of us do, then it's all right to work till 2 o'clock every morning. I mean, I join you there. I think you and I should have a cup of tea at 2 o'clock in the morning, quite frankly.
I think we do. I've been working previously where I've kind of like had an email come through at 11 o'clock with some other travel industry people, and I do a response and they come and say, oh my word, you're also at your desk at this time of night. Oh yes.
Yeah, people think it's just...
But I mean, what's that saying? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
There you go.
I think more people who are going into the job market need to consider that.
Well, they say this is the only occupation where you, traveling that is, where you spend money and become richer.
Yes, totally. Yeah, can't agree more.
Tessa, you are going to give us a totally different slant on Dubai, because, you know, Dubai has this reputation of being this, how can I put it, sort of artificial, man-made, created, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody perceives it as a sort of steel and glass, glitz, glam, shopping excess type of thing. And I must admit, before I went there, I kind of like thought, a friend of mine asked me, sort of tongue-in-cheek, are you even going to find anything sustainable in Dubai? And I must admit, I was a wee bit nervous that perhaps I wouldn't find anything that I could write about in Dubai. But I must admit, I was wonderfully surprised. And The bonus was it wasn't just a media trip. I actually went across and I was there for 3 weeks because my hubby was there working, so I was able to be there with him. And it was just wonderful to be able to shop like a local in the local supermarkets. I mean, the supermarkets are something to behold. The variety of produce is phenomenal. The fresh produce is incredible. I mean, I just wish I could have taken photographs in the supermarkets, which unfortunately you're not allowed to, and I didn't kind of want to even attempt it because the thought of a Dubai prison was not exactly high on my priority list.
No, the only advantage would be it would be air conditioned.
Yeah, perhaps. But I mean, I was there in January, and it's winter, so it was very much like a Durban winter kind of feel.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit warmer even, sort of with minimums down to about 17, maximums about 24, 25, so very, very bearable.
Now, that's very good.
I've been there in the summertime where you actually, I mean, at 42 degrees, you literally want to die.
42, gosh, my brother's been there when it's been closer to 50, so I mean,
really?
it's just
Okay,
unbearable
so
for me.
42 was bad, so I can imagine 50 must be horrendous. But anyway, so I got to shop at local places, I got to travel on the local transport. The metro is like the car train on steroids. I mean, it's the most phenomenal thing. It goes all over the place. You just hop on, hop off, say 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I think, past the trains and all in the two different directions and little offshoots to here and there. Fabulous. It's a bit costly when you're paying with rands, and I kind of quite often had to haul out my credit card to top up my gold card for the metro. But anyway, besides that, got around easily, and it was fabulous.
But it was so nice because you literally lived like a local for 3 weeks, and I think that gave you a completely different view and a different experience.
Oh, no, totally. It was wonderful. And I mean, a lot of it, because my husband was working, I had to do a lot of it on my own. And I mean, the awesome thing was I didn't feel nervous being on my own. You know, sometimes when a woman travels on your own, it can be a little bit daunting and you can feel a little bit concerned. I mean, some of the things I do in the evenings and I was on my own. And I mean, the one night when after our food safari or food adventure, which I'll chat about later, I walked back at 12 o'clock at night from the metro to our apartment.
Isn't that nice?
I didn't feel nervous, you know. No. I mean, the men don't, because of the culture, I suppose, the men don't kind of look at you in that kind of look that you get in a lot of other cities. And, I felt quite comfortable there. But, Dubai's amazing. I mean, we had, from a cultural point of view, a food point of view, the one thing I did, and I'd recommend to anybody on the start of a visit to Dubai, is to go to the Sheikh Mohammed Center for Cultural Understanding, which is the SMCCU, which has a motto of open doors, open minds. And for me, that was like really cool. You kind of go in there and they take you for a tour of the area, which is the old Dubai with its old sort of wind towers and the old mansions, and the big old wooden doors. That's in the Al Fahidi district. And anyway, walking down to Al Fahidi was quite cool. I got off the metro, you walk down and these tiny little like bakeries on the side making bread, and you get these wafts of stuff. And I mean, I didn't know where I was going, so I was asking people, am I going in the right direction? And everyone was amazingly helpful. So, I mean, very, very cool. But anyway, at the SMCCU, we kind of did the tour of the region. We even went into the mosque. We had to like park our shoes there, sit on the floor, and they'd explained all this stuff. We came back to the center, sat on this like amazing big Persian carpet on the floor on cushions with this phenomenal spread in the middle of sort of a traditional, authentic Emirati meal. And the guy said, it's actually what his grandmother would have made way back when. So that was quite cool. Started off with our beautiful cardamom-flavored coffee. Had our meal, and then after that was what kind of makes this the really special thing is a really open question and answer session, which was quite interesting, actually. I mean, I wasn't brave enough to ask any questions, but there was a Canadian lady in our group, and boy, she didn't pull any punches. She was, besides your normal dress code and those kind of things, she was asking stuff about how come these guys have half a dozen wives, and what's the thing about this? And the girl who was our group leader, she was funny. She said, she said, look at it as a traditional thing, and the idea is that if there's somebody in need, if there's a woman in need who's lost her husband, it's a traditional cultural thing to do is to offer her hand in marriage and as to support her. But she said, my husband mustn't just dare try to do that. He will know a story or two. So as I said, it was just like such a cool, open way. And they basically said, ask whatever you like. So for me, especially coming from a country, and especially coming from a Western mindset where there's sort of a lot of question marks about Islam, the sort of scariness of it with the whole terrorism thing, it was very cool to be able to be there in an environment that wasn't scary in any way and was very open. So that was a huge highlight for me. And then also the area, you can't just go there for that. There's some wonderful, wonderful things to see in the region. There's a coffee museum with old sacks of coffee, old grinders from the Second World War, and the most amazing stuff. And we had a friend of myself, actually it was my husband's colleague's wife, she was also there. So the one day I said to her, come on, we've got to go and explore this place on our own. We can't just do it on a tour thing. So we went and walked around. She was like, wow, this is so cool. There was a little boutique gallery with the most weirdest of artwork. One of the things they had, as you walk into the entrance, on the sort of the ceiling is like a lace petticoat. And out of this lace petticoat is feet and hands. So heaven knows what's happening up inside that petticoat. But I suppose they leave that to the imagination. But like really cool stuff. And the amazing food. And there, it was a hot day when we were there. So we had the signature iced mint lemonade, which is fabulous. And of course, pistachios are a big deal in the Middle East.
Yep.
So I had a pistachio cheesecake, which was really, really cool. I'm a sucker for sweet stuff. Just so awesome.
And did you take yourself off to places like the Flatley House and the Heritage House, the Coin Museum? There's so much, it's incredible.
I know, but the Heritage House was very cool. We didn't do too much there, but there's an old tree in the center of the thing, and it's just like an old tree. I'm sure it must have been there, I don't know how many zillion years ago. It's an old fig tree. But in that building, there's these old wooden doors and like leather sacks that would carry water. And it was this old man, I'm not quite sure what he was carving, but he was like, of course, a language barrier. I would love to have asked him what the heck he was doing and what his name was, but kind of he didn't comprehend, and neither did I. So I just kind of had to sit there and appreciate what he was doing. But like this old man, intensely, it almost looked like what we would consider like air bricks for a house. I don't know whether it was that kind of thing, but these little rectangular things he was carving out. Fascinating. I think you could spend like a whole day there. And then from there, it's not too far a walk, you get to the textile souk, which is also on the Dubai side of the creek, which is also incredible. You've got to be very, very, what's the word I'm looking for, strict and sure of what you want, because every second person wants to sell you something. And
imagine.
and I wanted to get a pashmina, a really cool one, and thankfully I got that at the first shop. And the choice is just phenomenal. The prices are here to there and back again, so you kind of haggle your way around what you feel comfortable with. But also incredible. Like hand-carved and handcrafted and embroidered little shoes. I think they come from Pakistan or somewhere, but that's beside the point. But it's just such an incredible sensory. I think the whole of Dubai for me, doing the old thing, was like just getting the sense of it.
I was going to say, Tessa, one forgets that Dubai was only founded about somewhere around the 1800s.
I know,
and it was once a region that was inhabited by Bedouins who made a living fishing and searching for pearls, herding sheep and goats. Yeah. And now suddenly you have this transformation that didn't happen that long ago.
I know, and that's this old region of Dubai is where the old pearl fishermen used to live, the old traders. That was their home. So essentially, for me, that is what Dubai is about. The glitz and the glam is awesome. You need to just kind of go and see it.
And then see the real Dubai behind that.
Yes. But, the real Dubai, for me, was the souks. And, going across from the one side of the creek to the other, you go on the Abra, which is phenomenal. That's what the normal people do. You really are traveling like a local if you do this kind of stuff. Having said that, I guess traveling like a local would also be the glitz and glam of the malls, because people there, it was incredible. Like at 11 o'clock in the evening, they're still having dinner with their kids in the shopping malls. And for me, I just could not comprehend. My kids were in bed by 7 o'clock, tucked in, done and dusted.
Tell me you had some nice fresh coconut drinks.
I did.
That seems to be very popular for, among tourists there. They're always looking for these nice coconut drinks.
The one afternoon, my hubby Daryl and I, we went out and I said, you can't just be there for a week. You've got to kind of experience a little bit of this old Dubai area. So we went down and we caught an Abra across to the Daira side of the creek, and we found a little shop. There's numerous little shops all along the creek, and we went and sat and we had this fresh coconut. But there was some people were having like freshly squeezed watermelon, and I mean it was just so cool. And we were actually there late in the afternoon, so the sun was setting over the creek, and you had the sort of the glistening gold look.
Oh, it all sounds so romantic.
And it was fabulous. And the sun setting, and you got the minarets, the mosques, and the sort of skyline with the goldenness of the sun setting on the water, the seagulls feeding bits and pieces, and I think the Abra, I don't know what you call them, drivers, boat, whatever you call those guys, they were feeding them bread, so these birds like ducking up and down on the water. It was just the most amazing thing.
Well, it sounds like you had an absolutely fabulous time. Tessa, don't go away. I'm going to ask our competition question in a moment, and then we will get back to the world.
I'm going to be running out of time quickly, and I've only touched the scratch of this thing.
Yeah, we'll get back to you, and then we'll be talking about the world's highest building, the world's biggest shopping mall, and the world's largest choreographed dancing fountain, all in Dubai.
Awesome.
Well, folks, this is when I'm going to ask you the question for this week for our Holiday for Two competition, obviously sponsored by our sponsors, Trafalgar's. So here's the question for today. Name one of Trafalgar's best-selling trips. Simple question, folks. Name one of Trafalgar's best-selling trips. Now, you will find the answer on www.trafalgar.com, and then please SMS 45633 with the following: holiday, your name, and the answer. SMSs cost R1.50 and free SMS bundles do not apply. Good luck, everyone. And of course, if you want to see more about this competition, make sure you buy next week's District Mail when there will be more information. But every week I'm going to ask you a new question. So every week, listen in, send in your SMS. The more you send in, the more chances you have of winning a fabulous dream holiday for two, compliments of Trafalgar. Right, we're back with Tessa Buhrmann, and Tessa, Dubai sounds so different already to how I have, thought about it. I've never thought about it as somewhere fascinating in the sense of what they've done is pretty amazing, but by the same token, perhaps a little bit too man-made, a little bit too grand, a little bit too much glass, but I suppose it must be quite fascinating, and you have to see it once.
No, totally. I mean, like I say, I thoroughly enjoyed the old part, but I had to go and see the malls, and the Dubai Mall is, like I just say, it's the biggest mall. The fountain is the most. That in itself is like a tourist attraction. You go there in the evenings, and you kind of can't find a space to stand, and it's actually quite ridiculous when you think about it. Everyone's standing there with their hands up in the air with their cell phones recording the fountain.
Well, we do have a fascination with water, so a choreographed dancing fountain can only be better.
No, and the dancing fountains are spectacular, and they literally are choreographed to the music, and I think they go every half an hour, and each session they go half an hour for about 10 minutes, I think it was, and each time it's different, so it's not as if it's a repeat of the same thing. It's different music, different dancing per se. Some of them would look like ballerinas, and then other times it's like stomping, staunching, marching kind of music with the fountains zhuzhing up and down.
So really something we shouldn't miss. And did you get to see Kidzania? Because I believe that's a town where no adults are allowed.
No, I was lucky to get there, only because I had a guided tour inside. But I kind of wish I was little. These kids are actually like adults. They're given real money to spend, and the guy was telling me that for the first time kids go there, they'll like spend their money on rubbish, and then they'll realize actually I've got no more money left. Now what do I do? So the idea is they will work at the dairy, and they will help fill milk cartons, or they'll work in the chocolate factory, and they actually earn money by working in these different places, or they work as an electrician in the electricity department or the fire department. He said all the boys want to be firemen, so they go and work in the fire department.
Gosh, that's amazing. So they have all these real-life experiences.
Yeah, they get to put out a real fire, and the police get called, and the police put the cones on the road. It's like a little mini village.
So definitely
the most fascinating thing.
Definitely a place you can take your kiddies, right? We're going to break away from the city and all of the fascinating things that go on there. And we're now going to go on safari in the desert, and we're going to be talking about Bedouin camps and cooking over the fire. Let's talk about that side of Dubai now.
That to me was also, I mean, I think everything is a highlight. I mean, I'm telling this is a highlight, but I mean, absolutely, I think I need to go back again. The desert safari was wonderful. But I mean, but there's desert safaris and there's desert safaris. I've done one once before, which is sort of like your zillion convoy vehicles over the dunes and a very commercialized exercise. What I went on was desert safari with Platinum Heritage, who've got very much an ethos of conservation and environmental sustainability and community. And it was
that's good.
A real authentic experience. I mean, we went on old Land Rovers, and the funny part was some of them had GP number plates because he had to source more than what was available in Dubai, and got them from a chap in Joburg, Rob Lama. And it was like quite unreal seeing these GP number plates, so that was quite cool. Because the Land Rovers were some of the original transportation for the Emiratis, so it's very, very authentic. And they were the ones left over from when the British were there.
So tell us a little bit about what you did. And I mean, obviously, the whole experience, I'm just laughing at these Land Rovers with the GP registrations,
I know,
but tell me a little bit about what the safari included.
Okay, we hopped in our vehicles, we went driving through the Dubai Desert Conservation Reserve. We got to see the Arabian oryx, which is a huge conservation project, which is very much like our Gemsbok. We got to see the Arabian gazelle, which for me looked very much like the springbok. And we kind of stopped at a section 4 view, and then at sunset we stopped on the dunes, and we had a falconry display on the dunes with the sun setting behind, which was absolutely beautiful. I mean, we sat there on this like little rise in the desert with the sun behind the gentleman doing the display, sitting on Persian carpets, drinking sparkling date juice, which obviously, to be authentic, there's no alcohol and stuff like that. Like the other ones will provide things like that, but this was very, very authentic, and it was wonderful. So we finish off the sunset, we hop back in our vehicles, we toodle off. Now it's starting to get dark. We arrive at this desert camp. It's lit with lanterns all around. It's like this enclosed area. We go inside, and there's these food stations where they're cooking the food. I mean, like the lentil soup in cast iron pots, and making the bread on like a hot griddle thing, if I remember correctly. And there was a gentleman making coffee. There was another lady who was painting henna if you wanted henna. Oh, it was just the most fabulous thing. And then in the middle of this were like Persian carpets with cushions and the shisha, what do you call them, smoking things. What are those things called?
Oh, I forgot.
Those things.
Just trying to think.
Those things, yeah, I can't remember now. But it was just the most fabulous thing. And then, of course, if you wanted to, outside there was a camel. You could go on a little camel ride around, which I actually tried, which is not the most comfortable things to do. And then sitting there, you could see the stars. I mean, you looked up, and it was like this incredible million stars, because, of course, there's no lights. There's nothing to distract your view, and there's like a million stars in the sky. Fabulous, fabulous food.
Sounds amazing.
The lentil soup.
Tell me you went on a camel ride.
I did go on a camel
Cannot
ride.
go to Dubai and not do the camel ride.
No, you have to. I mean, it was only other thing what they do when you get into your vehicles. You get given the men got a red and white, the scarf things the men in the Middle East wear. They got given one of those, and I had a little black thingy over my head, just keeping my hair, which is quite useful in the breeze in the desert. And he also said, if it gets a bit dusty, you can put it over your face. Just as I said, it was one of the most authentic ways of doing it. And even the music and the dancing was genuine, authentic.
You must have felt transported.
Totally. It was just the most incredible experience. And having done the more commercialized desert safari the first time I was in Dubai, it made this even more special because I knew what it was comparing with.
Now, that makes all the difference.
Yeah, it is more expensive, obviously, than the more commercialized side of things. But honestly, I would say worth every cent of it, just because it is so real and
an authentic experience, obviously.
So
well, tell me, Tessa, how did you adapt from that wonderful scene, which I don't think I would want to have left, to your experience with the seaplane?
Oh, the seaplane was amazing.
From the desert to the seaplane.
The first time I'd been in one of those, obviously coming from South Africa, we're not familiar with seaplanes. So it's like, is it a boat, is it a plane? You're kind of going on the water like you're a boat, and then all of a sudden you take off. That was amazing because to get this aerial view of Dubai, you see it's just so flat. There's no topographical land or geographical landmarks to kind of pinpoint anything other than obviously the man-made islands and the whatnots. And it was quite funny because the pilot says, no, you're flying over the world. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm on the top of the world now. And there's the world island And to see the Burj Khalifa and the actual how high it is was incredible. And then we got to land in the creek, which I kind of like in my imagination was thinking, oh, this is so cool. Way back when the first planes used to land there, I mean, it was a bit of a stretch of the imagination, but anyway, it was one of the really coolest things.
Well, you certainly seem to have, attacked Dubai from all angles. We only have a couple of minutes left now, and I'd love to talk to you about so many things because I'm sitting with your article in front of me, which I found so fascinating. But, where are we going to end? What are we going to leave out? It's so difficult. There's so many things here I still wanted to ask you about.
Yeah, I know. I've got I haven't even hardly glanced at my notes. I don't know why I bothered because I haven't even touched more than like a page and a half of the 5 pages of bits and bobs I scribbled down. I just say definitely try the food. Definitely go to the old Daira. We did a walking food adventure, food safari kind of thing, especially frying pan adventure where we went to 5 Middle Eastern tastes. That for me was incredible. You've got to go to the shopping malls. I had a coffee at each of them, or cappuccino, mainly because of the price. It was like 60 Rand for a cappuccino. So I went, okay, done, one in each. But don't just go there and think it's a shopping, glitz and glam destination, which a lot of people do.
Well, listening to you saying that is why I so enjoyed the ending to your article when you said, to make the most of your visit to Dubai, I suggest you find some time to travel like a local and experience the history, culture and tradition of what ultimately has made the glitzy and glamorous new Dubai what she is today. I thought that was such a fitting ending, having read your article.
Thank you.
It's the old with the new, and it's just absolutely fascinating. Well, you've given me a totally different...
You can't do one without the other.
No, you've given me a totally different idea of what a visit to Dubai would be like, especially for people who haven't been there before, and not just to go there and enjoy all the, the pomp and ceremony and the flashy places and the hotels and what have you. Get out and do what the locals do as well, and really get a feel for the old as well as the new Dubai.
Yeah. Well, I hope I've changed a few people's perceptions on the ones who kind of said, Dubai never.
I'm quite sure you have.
This is a good idea.
I'm quite sure you have. Well, Tessa, thank you ever so much. I'm so happy that we were able to have a chat this morning. I've been following you on Facebook and I've been reading your articles from your magazine and thoroughly enjoying them. So it was lovely to chat to you, and hopefully...
I have so enjoyed it.
I'm so glad.
I hope I can find something else interesting to chat to you about sometime in the future.
Well, absolutely. You better make sure you get out there and travel some more. Though, if looking at your website, you've been all over the show.
I have kind of.
All right, awesome. Tessa, thanks again.
Thanks, Cathy.
Take care.
Thanks for the privilege. Cheers. Bye.
Well, folks, that was Tessa Buhrmann chatting to us about her trip to Dubai, and that's a wonderful way to experience Dubai, to go and live there for 3 weeks. Live like a local. I'm going to ask you this week's question one more time, folks. So here we go. Name one of Trafalgar's best-selling trips. Name one of Trafalgar's best-selling trips. You can find the answer on www.trafalgar.com and SMS 45633 with the following: holiday, your name, and the answer. And remember, SMSs cost R1.50 and free SMS bundles do not apply. Good luck, everyone. And remember, listen every week, enter every week, and stand a chance to win your dream holiday for 2. Compliments of Trafalgar. Well, that's it from Passport to the World for today. And from me, Cathy Retief-Neil, and Blommy sitting over there keeping things going as always. And we hope you will join us again same time next week. Until then, happy travels.
Passport to the World was proudly sponsored by Trafalgar. Simply the best way to holiday. Trafalgar offers family holidays so the whole family can experience a destination together. Trafalgar is offering their 2015 rates for all trips booked for 2016, plus an early payment discount of 7.5% until 25 March. So book early and you can save 45% or more on a holiday to Europe. Visit our website www.trafalgar.com to discover more.